podcast, Cinderella Chats. I'm your host, Cinderella Field. Yes, that's really my name, along with your co-host, Sandy Hunter. We are so excited to be here to share some insight about life, love, and relationships. So let's get to it. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, my friend, how are you?
Well, don't we sound so sweet? Like nothing is going on in the world except for good things.
Oh, yes. Wonderful things.
Mm-hmm. That's life, right? So that's what women do. We just smile and say things in a sweet voice, like everything is fine.
Peachy. We're all peachy here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it has been a while because we've been busy with
life
and all the stuff that goes underneath that.
Absolutely.
So I think that this is a good time to talk about getting back to the focus.
Yes.
And my focus has always been the family and marriage and the lack of a foundation of faith that's truthful. Mm-hmm. And the fact that
morality.
What does that even mean anymore?
I don't even know. Everybody's vision is so
skewed. I would say skewed.
Yes.
And I would say everybody's been on a mind trip of it's okay to be like this. Right. And then next is the law.
Yeah. Definitely law.
The law. I mean, what is that about anymore? Anybody can do anything. And if they commit a really bad crime, all they have to do is get an attorney, pay him money.
Tie everything up in court.
And then the victims don't get any closure, right?
Closure, yeah.
And I mean, that's happened with some of the cases of illegal immigrants being here and people losing their life over that stuff that we have watched in the news. Mm-hmm. So that's difficult. And then finally, you bring in education. Mm-hmm. Well, what have I always said? That it's the family that's the problem.
Right.
Okay. And that goes back to the foundation of faith, right?
Right. I think so.
Yeah. And
something that our forefathers stood on. But it's so crazy because you look at their beliefs and things that our country was founded on, and I have a hard time finding those right now. Does that make sense? I'm like,
well, it's more like a democracy. And today I went to a town hall meeting.
Right.
And they talked about the difference between a democracy and a republic. And a democracy is more like what they were trying to create.
Right.
And it's just really socialism and communism.
Right.
Okay. So, and it takes our freedoms away.
Uh-huh. Yes, I concur on that.
Mm-hmm. And it ruins the family. And then at some point it will destroy the human race. I mean, that's just the truth.
Well, I think that's you can even trace that back to biblical times. You know what I mean? There's only so much that I believe God's going to take before things. Now, and don't get me wrong. I mean, with this election we just had week before last, I'm glad it's over and I'm glad it went the direction I needed it to go in my mind. But even with that being said, what brings about change to get us back to where we should be?
I think we should talk about that.
I mean, what were some of the ideas they were throwing around in the meeting that you were at today?
Well, it was a town hall meeting and South Tulsa Republican women put it on. And I mean, I found it to be amazing, even though admittedly they said this is the first time that we've done anything like this. We've attended other things, other town hall meetings, and we've seen them, but we're just going to start somewhere. Right. And they did a great job with the questions and the audience questions that they had taken beforehand. There were legislators there. They had, I mean, a pretty good conversation. It started at 9:00. It was horribly windy today, and
Rainy.
I mean, pouring down rain.
Right.
I haven't seen rain like that in a long time during the day. But it was it was a packed, really, it would have been more packed if it had been nice weather, I think. But the one thing that it started out with, when they started asking questions, and participating in that sort of stuff, the people that were hosting it, the hostesses, because they were both women, they asked them certain questions, and then the audience started. And one of them, and I don't know anything about this, but it was eminent domain. There's a piece of property that is a big, big deal that's going on right now. And I'm not sure what it's about exactly. I guess, some people are trying to buy it and they don't want it to be purchased. Maybe something like that. So that's what it started with. And then there was a man that stood up, an elderly gentleman, and he said, so Governor Stitt ran on the promise that he was going to make us a top 10 state.
Right.
And he said, if he hasn't made that happen, if anything, not if he hasn't made that happen, excuse me, I just got tongue-tied. He hasn't made that happen. If anything, it
went the other way.
Oh, yes. And, of course, then I look at this panel of people sitting up there, right?
All right.
Governor Stitt is a man. He is a man. And all of these people, senators, representatives, not one woman, all men.
Good old boys.
And I'm thinking, so I wonder how they're going to answer this. And a couple of them said, well, I don't think that's true. I think he has made it that way. I mean, there are people for the first time ever from Texas moving to Oklahoma instead of Oklahomans moving to Texas.
Right. We've got a lot of new diversity, I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
Diversity.
If you look around.
Yeah. That's a nice way to put it. Instead of calling it out for what it really is, because we have people coming here that we don't know if they're supposed to be in the United States or not.
No.
And okay, that's what I'll say.
Yeah. And I would say, no, I would say that there was probably quite a few illegals that have turned.
Illegal aliens, not immigrants, because immigrants, and this other guy did a great job by saying that he learned this from an immigrant.
So he was saying that
he was explaining the difference, because I mean, this country was founded on, immigrants, people that came from other places. Right. So, but people that don't belong here legally are a totally different.
Well, they're illegal aliens. Immigrants are people that I'm pretty sure that whose families have come over and established a home base. Now they're bringing other parts of their families over who are doing it the right way, filing all the right paperwork, getting all the right doors open to cross over from one country to make another country their home. These illegals are just walking in and out like it's just a open door. Everybody can just come and go as they please. And I don't think I've never been okay with that. I don't know who's ever been okay with that, other than this last administration that we had, and that just opened the doors and said, y'all come on in. Exactly. So that was a good way of him describing
educating
that,
the audience.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely it was. So I'm not saying that all these men are bad or anything else, because these people give up parts of their lives running back and forth to Oklahoma City when they're in session, and they have bills that they have to vote on and listen to and all of that stuff. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But I'm just saying you find out a lot of things if you start getting involved. And the person that I was sitting next to, she's super involved and she knows everything that's going on. It was quite interesting. So he brought that up and they talked about that. That's why it's so great. And then, people were just like, haha, no, it's not because of that reason, and I mean, then we have incentives to bring people in.
Right.
Because somebody said, come on to Oklahoma and we'll give you $10,000.
Seriously.
Uh-huh. So, and I think it was Kaiser that helped fund that. Right.
Kaiser. Yeah.
Yeah. So George Kaiser, if I'm incorrect, I stand corrected. And then those people sometimes leave here after they have been here to collect and then they move on. And so that went on for a little bit. And then they talked a little bit about education. And I mean, it's been a positive thing with the charter schools and the fact that they're doing what they're doing to try to help clean up what's going on in the public school systems, which we know is a mess.
Oh my gosh.
Not
really sure. That's a whole podcast on its own. I mean, we could go down that rabbit trail.
No, it's like weeks, months of a podcast, maybe an entire year of a podcast.
Could we ever stop talking about it?
Never.
I don't think so.
Never. And so I don't know when all that will be handled. And then the next thing that the guy that educated the audience on those items, definitions of those two different entities, started talking about the taxation and how that needs to be cleaned up and all of those things. And then someone in the audience, then they went to audience questions to other people in the audience, and they just started asking, other questions.
Did you raise your hand?
No.
I'm surprised.
No, I wanted to go there and,
just take it all in and listen.
It wasn't like the night that I went to.
When you asked Stitt about his thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I don't know if we've talked about that on the podcast, but I said, Governor Stitt, thank you so much for coming here and supporting Moms of Liberty. And thank you for signing the heartbeat bill. That's a good step toward what we need to be doing as far as babies are concerned.
Right.
I said, but I'm a little confused. There's one thing that I haven't heard tonight about anything to do with the family. And are you aware that the divorce rate in the state of Oklahoma is number 2 in the United States? And if you are elected, Governor Stitt, what will you do to change that for Oklahomans?
And what was his answer?
His answer was, well, I think he was like taken aback a little bit.
Absolutely. You kind of shocked him.
And he said to me that it wasn't the state's responsibility to get involved with that. It was the church.
The churches. Wow.
The church. So I thought that was interesting because.
Well, here's the thing. It takes the states to relinquish a marriage. It takes this whole courtroom with a judge and all these attorneys.
Yes, doesn't it? What are we looking at right now, Sandy?
I mean, good grief. Yeah, piles and piles of paperwork regarding attorneys. So here's my thought process. Well, then what should the church be the one giving divorces? I mean, should the church be the one handling it situation by situation? I mean, where if you're trying to separate state and church, Governor, then why are you not, you're being so gray with your answer? I mean, it would have been hard for me to not say, hey, okay, I get that, but what about this? Which I'm surprised you didn't do.
Well, I was the last one speaking. And, that night that happened, and I mean, everybody can think I'm cuckoo. I really don't care.
Right.
And I'm crazy, but
you're not. She's not.
I hear from the Holy Spirit sometimes.
listen, I love to hear from the Holy Spirit. As a matter of fact, I'd like to hear from a lot more. I mean, and I think there's a whole country that needs to hear from the Holy Spirit.
Right. So I remember that night and I was getting dressed and I kept saying, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this. Why do I have to go? I know that I'm going to have to ask a question. Okay. And I mean, it was set up perfectly for me to do it.
Right.
And I don't have to go into all the details because we'll do that at some point,
Absolutely.
but not in this particular podcast. But it brings me to the fact of, remember what I said? It's nice that you signed the heartbeat bill. It's nice that you're supporting the women, the moms of liberty, trying to get pornography and smut and CRT out of the schools.
Right.
But no mention of the family. I'm sorry, what?
Yes. And
isn't that odd?
Well,
I mean, who are you doing it for? The family?
Right. And me being a school employee, I work at a high school, a local high school. And I probably see the deterioration of families on a daily basis. I mean,
shocking.
I've got a kid right now that, mom passed away. Things are happening that they're losing their house. I mean, these are, dad is in no position to take care of said children or doesn't want to. I don't know the situation, but it's just a sad situation. And that's just one kid out of hundreds in my school system that is from a broken home, or it's mom trying to raise 2 or 3 kids by themselves. And I'm not going to give anything for the dads because I do know of a couple dads that are single dads that are trying to raise, kids because mom bailed, so I'm not stereotyping anyone, but
this didn't happen as frequently.
No. I mean, divorce has just been made so almost like a drive-through. Like you just drive through McDonald's and get you a divorce and go on. I mean, I think, in my way of thinking, they should make it harder to get married than anything.
Well, I think they could do a lot of things,
and that's why placates into the education.
Yes, of course it does. All of it goes hand in hand.
Sure.
Because if the family is if our faith is the foundation, and in order to have strong children, you need to have a strong foundation.
Absolutely. They're a product of their environment. If you have a wavering environment that has no foundation and a house that's built on sand, what's going to happen to the kids?
That's what I'm saying. So he signed the heartbeat bill.
Right.
Okay. You can't just get an abortion at any time that you want to.
That's birth control. Use abortion as birth control.
Exactly. And he signed a piece of paper that said he supported the Moms of Liberty and their efforts to keep pornography out of the libraries at school, out of off of Chromebooks. You'd be surprised how they fight to keep certain things off the internet. You see in the high school, they send this little piece of paper home, your kid may have access to the internet. We need your permission to blah, 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 blah. Well, that was great and fine and dandy when the internet first came out. Well, now all you have to do in an internet user, you can click on your Google or Yahoo, and all of a sudden you can have things just flash up at you. I've had stuff before, whether it's pornography or beer ads or whatever the case may be. Those Moms for Liberty at least have been, actively involved in trying to curtail it.
Absolutely.
And stop it.
Trying to get it stopped, which I'm very appreciative for because I've got 2 seniors in high school right now. And I watch a bunch of kids on a daily basis that have access to way too much. This generation of kids to me has seen too much, been through too much. And it's such a shame to watch such young, innocent minds just
be convoluted
Yes.
with such trash.
Exactly.
Because that's what it is.
Exactly.
I mean, they deserve the right to the innocence that childhood should have.
Absolutely. Somebody told me one time, because my little granddaughter, she's 18 and she loves to go to Build-A-Bear. Her room is filled with stuffed animals. She loves animals. She's got an innocence about her that I had someone make the comment to me one day, well, she's a mature adult now. She's 18. I mean, you would think she would give all that stuff up. But I said, listen, you stay in your lane. Mm-hmm. She can be as innocent as all she wants and as long as she wants.
Mm-hmm. Because it will end one day.
It will end one day. And that is her right. Why would I strip her and mold her into what one might see a Hollywood star or all this garbage that's coming through and out of, Hollywood? Why would I want her to think that it was okay to put herself out there, that she has to be this make-believe person to impress people? To me, that's just, I don't even know where that kind of thinking comes from. The
way the world is today, because it has accepted any and everything.
It is. But I guarantee you, with some of the stuff that's happening with a few of the Hollywood stars right now, I hope the swamp gets drained fairly quickly. That's all I have to say.
Well, at the beginning of this town hall meeting, there was someone there from Kansas, and I think that she's a pretty big deal in Kansas, and either she was a senator or a state representative that had done a lot of things for that state. And she went through a series of what the difference was between the democracy and the republic. But she started out like this before she even went there. Sorry, you guys, I got a little bit backwards. But she just said, oh my goodness, thank goodness the election's over and that it turned out the way that it did. But that doesn't mean anything. We have so much work to do. And she said, because we the people need to make sure that the people voted in do what they promised to do for we the people, because we are one step away from communism.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. It's just the switch just needs to be turned on, which is true. And I went there thinking if I said anything at all, I would ask them, okay, well, it's great that, the election turned out the way that it did as far as our national election. But how will we hold people accountable and give them consequences? I mean, how will we do that? Or is it going to be Washington status quo, just the same old, same old? As I sat there and I look at all these men and I'm wondering, why aren't there some women? Why? And I don't mean just women, just any woman. Okay. But the right women involved in it.
Absolutely. To give a different point of view.
Then I thought about it on the way home. And you know what? The most important role a woman has, and this is just my opinion, this is going to probably rub people the wrong way. I'm okay with that. I think the most important role a woman has is in the home. And if she has children, then, I think it takes two people, a father and a mother, to raise that child. But a mother has a tremendous influence upon her children.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And I think that we have gotten away from, that's why I go, it's about the family. It's about the home. It's about a strong foundation. Right. And so that's why we need to talk about what needs to be done about divorce. Even Reagan himself, we have no fault divorce anymore, except, and I'm not sure if it's changed, but Oklahoma is still, I think that it was changed though in 2023. I'll have to look it up. But when I went through the divorce, it was still a fault divorce state.
Right.
Okay. So if somebody had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or somebody did this or somebody did that, and it could be proven, then there were things that would happen, because of that to the person that caused it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just like a military.
Yeah.
Military still hangs on to that belief.
Well, it still should be that way because it upsets the whole apple cart.
Absolutely.
It messes with the entire family because you've watched me go through it.
Oh, absolutely.
And what it has done to everybody.
Right.
So that is why when we started this, what did I say needed to happen?
We're going to keep it to what the vision God gave you of it being about family and
faith and the church being responsible is that's why I smart off and I say, is the Bible real or not? Is it? Is it, Sandy? Is it? Because the church doesn't even want to tell the truth about.
It's watered down right now.
It's so watered down. And guess who has allowed it? The people sitting in the pews because they won't hold people accountable and give them consequences.
You're correct. I totally agree with it.
So I said the other day on Facebook, if you think I'm going to stop now, I'm not.
Nope.
I might have to take a break every now and then because we have busy schedules and things happen and we have families and all of that stuff. But you better darn well believe
we're going to keep talking.
Yes. I want to be like Tucker Carlson and just tell everything.
And I thought we could get one podcast without his name being mentioned.
Why? I think he's amazing. I mean, I think he's amazing.
Great. He is great. He would be great on the new administration.
I know. I would like to see him as president one day. He's just like would laugh in my face. But I mean, we need to get back to that. So Sandy and I will be talking a lot more about how can we change this?
How can we change it?
How can we change it?
Good question.
So that's what we're going to start on. So hashtag family law, hashtag attorneys, hashtag marriage is great, hashtag the family is the most important, hashtag God is in all of it, hashtag financial advisors, hashtag. Okay.
I love it.
Adultery is wrong.
Hashtag.
Okay. Hashtag. I mean,
you name it, we're going there.
We are. Hashtag. I don't even want to call politics anymore because it's not what it needs to be. It needs to be all of us working together so that we can affect change.
Right.
That will be positive for all.
Long
and on
term.
That, yes. And on that note, I say goodbye for now. That's all I have to say. Until next time, Sandy.
See you soon.
If you enjoyed the show today, share it with your friends so they can listen in to our conversations about life, love, and relationships. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Cinderella Chats, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to our Tuesdays together and know you will too.